P. Diddy has become the most controversial figure of 2024 after multiple victims have spoken out and lawsuits are filed against him for sexual assault, hate, and running a sex trafficking ring. 2024 has become the biggest Me Too movement towards Diddy for obvious reasons, because once that video of him abusing Cassie Ventura hit the internet, he simply lost all credibility. Now, there was one person in particular who had been exposed in Diddy's dark, manipulative, and shady past for years, and that person is Jaguar Wright. I'm sure you're wondering who Jaguar Wright is and what is her relevance towards P. Diddy. Now, Jacqueline Wright, known as Jaguar Wright, is a 46-year-old R&B singer who began her career in the late 90s. First as a backup dancer for The Roots, then performing as a backup singer for Jay-Z in 2001. Jaguar Wright to many has been viewed as a whistleblower in the hip-hop community, who has been exposing the truth about powerful men in the hip-hop industry, such as Diddy and Jay-Z. Her allegations against Diddy has taken on a very dark tone of its own, while discussing Diddy's involvement in the fate of many Uptown Record execs, the label that Diddy interned at in his early adulthood. According to Wright, the death and near-fatal incidents involving several key figures of Uptown Records have a direct relation to Diddy and are in no way a coincidence. Uptown Records has played a significant role in shaping both hip-hop and R&B in the late 80s and early 90s. The label Uptown was founded by Andre Harrell in 1996 and became a powerhouse for launching the careers of several influential artists, including New York City's own Mary J. Blige, Heavy D and the Boys, the R&B group Jodeci, and many soul acts such as Guy and I'll Be Sure. Now, Sean Puffy Combs would also begin his music career at Uptown Records. At the age of 21, Combs started as an intern at Uptown Records in 1990, working directly under Andre Harrell. Puffy quickly rose to the ranks and was promoted to a director of A&R at Uptown Records just a year later in 1991. Now, at this time, Combs was a college student and would travel regularly from DC to New York, waking up as early as 5 a.m. to get to New York for work at 10 a.m. But by his sophomore year, he realized that he had a real interest in music and subsequently dropped out of Howard University. After 3 years at Uptown Records, Diddy was fired in July of 1993 due to his internal conflicts with the label management style, and here's how we ended up here. Now, Uptown Records started with 5 employees: Andre Harrell, I'll Be Sure, Heavy D, Diddy and Kim Porter, which was Diddy's ex-wife and the mother of his kids. Jaguar filling the lines would draw a conclusion that is very interesting and ironic that so many people close to Puffy died in horrific ways, and the ones that did survive from accidents or health complications are writing a tell-all book, which is a book telling the world about their experiences in the music industry, which could potentially have some damaging information about Puffy.
Uptown Records started with 5 people: Andre Harrell, I'll Be Sure, Heavy D, and Puffy. And Kim was the longest working employee because she was there from the very beginning. She was Andre's personal assistant. Kim is dead. Heavy D is dead. Andre Harrell is dead. The only 2 left are Puffy and Al almost died. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
Heavy D was found dead, face down in the heart attack. Andre Harrell, heart attack. Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said that she died. It was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. You know, they have poisons that create heart attack and pneumonia-like symptoms. And then right after that, Al had a meeting, and I was going to meet up with him because we were in Vegas, and then the next thing you know, you want to know what they all had in common, though? The survivors and the late of Uptown Records, they were all writing tell-all books. Mm-hmm. Andre was writing a book right before he died. Heavy D was working on a book before he died. Kim Porter was working on a book before she died. And I'll Be Sure was working on the documentary of his life. And then he goes into a coma. Has Puffy ever been in a coma? Has anything happened?
The death of Andre Harrell was unexpected, as he died on May 7th of 2020 at the age of 59, with the autopsy report ruling his cause of death as a heart failure. The sadness of his death shocked the entire music industry, with many figures such as Mariah Carey, 50 Cent, and John Legend all paying their respects. Now, Harrell's death raised many questions due to his intimate knowledge of Diddy's career and potential industry secrets. Now, Harrell gave Puffy a significant role in his company, providing with a major start, allowing him to learn the ropes of the music business. Even so much that Harrell stated, "I told Puffy he needs to go and create his own opportunity. You're red hot right now. I'm letting you go so you can go get rich." Puffy was kindly but subsequently pushed out the label into forming Bad Boy Records, the East Coast record label that has become home to the Notorious B.I.G., Biggie Smalls, and the Bad Boy became the hottest record label in the East, signing Faith Evans, 112, Mason, even the Locks later on. Now, although many conspiracy theorists feel Diddy played a part in the demise of Andre Harrell, Diddy only had nice things to say when speaking about his mentor and what he brought towards hip-hop. Andre Harrell brought taste to hip-hop. He brought a business acumen because of the reality of his background. Came up in the hood and tried to go to college and tried to work on the stock market, but he always had a different aspiration. Early on, he was able to see hip-hop as a commodity and as a lifestyle, and when people were making the music, Andre was dreaming big and pairing us what hip hop is today. A lot of people don't realize that when Andre worked for Def Jam first, then when he started Uptown, he gave birth to me, to Mary J. Blige, and gave us tutelage to Jay-Z, Timbaland, and Swizz Beatz. He was our first mentor that really started to bring some structure to hip hop because it was being seen in another form of music that wouldn't really participate in a form of business perspective. So when Russell Simmons and Rick Rubin started Def Jam, that really brought out the businessman in everyone. Russell and Andre took the art form into a way for us to get out, but for us to be unapologetically black. The death of Diddy's longtime partner and ex-wife, Kim Porter, opened a can of questions that seriously needs answers. Now, the death of Kim was sudden and unexpected, as Porter died on November 15, 2018 at the age of 47, with the official cause of death by the autopsy report being lobar pneumonia. Los Angeles County coroners confirmed that although she was suffering from an ongoing battle with pneumonia, the manner of her death was ruled by natural causes.
How dangerous do you think he is as a person?
I think he's one of the most dangerous people I've ever met. A lot of people have been questioning, well, she doesn't really know him. She has no knowledge of him. She doesn't have a picture with him. I'm smarter than Claudia Jordan. I would never take a picture with the devil. Everyone knew he was the devil. He's been the devil for 30 years. He's been covered and protected by not only Clive Davis, but Lucien Grange. He was selected to be the demon that he is to keep the culture in line so the industry could continue to rape it for all of its precious jewels. We have too many lost. The list of lost is ridiculous, and everyone knows Diddy was selected for this job. He's the Judas.
Jaguar, a vocal critic of Diddy, would speculate that Porter may have been poisoned, factoring back to her theory that Kim Porter, an assistant of Uptown Records, will be a victim of the Diddy curse, insinuating that Diddy has some foul play involved with her demise. The timing of Kim Porter's death is suspicious, as according to Wright, she's working on a tell-it-all book, and Wright would also allege that the death of Andre Harrell for heart failure and Kim Porter's death by pneumonia were alleged cover-ups and were industry silencers. Given that Puffy has had 3 children on Porter, it's very hard to believe that he would destroy his own family and the lives of his children by killing the mother of his child. But never say never, because 2024 is very unexpected. Just a week after Diddy was arrested by the feds, the Porter children make a statement regarding their mother's alleged book, which is called Kim's Lost Words, A Journey for Justice from the Other Side. Claims that our mom wrote a book are simply untrue. She did not, and anyone claiming to have a manuscript is misrepresenting themselves. The statement read, any so-called friend speaking on behalf of our mom or her family is not a friend, nor do they have her best interests at heart. The children would explain that the volume of hurtful and false rumors circulating about their parents compelled them to speak out, addressing that they're deeply saddened that the world has made a spectacle of what has been the most traumatic and tragic event of their lives, noting that the death of their mother has been established for years and there was no foul play involved. Al B. Sure was the 3rd member of Uptown Records who fell into the Diddy curse. Now, Al B. Sure is one of the earliest R&B acts signed to Uptown, following Heavy D and The Boys. Although Al B. Sure beat the Diddy curse and is still alive, it wouldn't be such a smooth sailing future going forward. Now, for a backstory, Al B. Sure was very close to Kim Porter as they began dating in 1988 after being introduced to each other by Andre Harrell. Now, the two had a son together, Quincy Jones, which was a lighter-skinned son that, P. Diddy helped raise as when he was with Kim. In 2022, decades after his career at Uptown Records, he collapsed and was rushed into a coma that lasted over 2 months. Now, after awakening from his coma, Sherwood insinuated that Combs was a part of the reason that he ended up in a coma, and that he was going to produce a documentary exposing some very dark secrets. Finally, we're going to produce the Al B. Sure life story, so hold on to your britches and you'll understand how I ended up in a coma. You're really going to need to call Homeland Security. The reference of Homeland Security is because Homeland Security is an organization that raided his Los Angeles and Miami home when he was part of the sex trafficking investigation. The 4th and final victim was Heavy D. Heavy D was one of the earliest acts of Uptown Records. Now, if the name sounds familiar, it's probably because Biggie rapped about him on his famous song Juicy, where he said it was all a dream. I used to read up Word Up magazines, saw him Peppa and Heavy D up in the limousine. Now, Heavy D's cause of death was ruled by a coroner as pulmonary embolism, which is a blood clot in the lung. It's worth noting that prior to this, Heavy D had returned from a trip to London, and this long flight may have contributed to his health decline. Heavy D collapsed on November 8, 2011, when he was climbing the stairs of his Beverly Hills condominium. Now, it should also be considered that he was 344 pounds, so his weight definitely played a crucial role and factor on the time of his life. Jaguar Wright's suspicions are obviously still swallowed up theories with a bit of validity and consistency as the days go on. But as far as Diddy being innocent, there are many victims of Diddy who have experienced the wrath of his control, violence and jealousy, and simply bad business deals.